webinar you have any technical difficulties listening through your speakers, please dial into the conference line to listen. You can do this by expanding your audio panel and choosing to use telephone, and the phone number will be provided to you at that point. We have allocated time in the middle and at the end of today's webinar specifically for questions, but please feel free to send your questions and comments in through your questions panel on the right as you think of them. During the actual question and answer portions, I would like to encourage you to speak directly to Neil with your questions. All you need to do is make sure you are connected to this webinar with your telephone. Then during the question period, simply click on the raise hand icon found on your panel, and then I will unmute your phone line and prompt you to begin speaking. Our presenter today is Neil Leibovitz. Neil has been in the staffing industry for more than 20 years. In 2009, he founded the industry training and development company called The Dynamic Sale. His background includes positions in permanent and temporary placement, sales, branch management, regional management, up to and including Chief Operating Officer and President. He has been featured on television news shows and in many publications. Thank you for being here with us today, Neil. I'll turn it over to you at this time.
Thank you, Emily. I swear, I think you were probably a flight attendant in a previous life. Please make sure your seats are in the locked and upright position. You have a very good radio voice or airplane voice, whatever you want to call it. All right, enough of that. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We have an action-packed hour of content and then time for breaks and questions. And as Emily said, I'd love this to go an hour and a half because of all your questions. This is a paid webinar, so those of you who are investing not only the time but the money, I want you to take advantage because the paid ones, they're a much smaller group and you're able to really interact directly. So try not to treat this like you're one of 1,000 people listening to it. Make sure you connect with me, anyone listening or watching to this on LinkedIn. I'd love you to check out my website to learn more about me, and I offer great free training at thedynamicsale.com. I am also now president of a company called ARG, but enough of that. We got some great free ebooks at independentrecruiting.com. But again, I don't want to get into a commercial there, but I strongly recommend you get that ebook. You'll also see it on my site. So we're going to talk about today time mastery. And I got to say, out of all of the topics that are ever requested by companies like ASA, by my clients, by individuals, and by corporate America outside of recruiting, time management comes up all of the time. And I never like to use the term time management, because it's cliche, hackney, banal, whatever you want to call it. But you can't manage time, right? There's no way you can manage time. Time just keeps on clicking, but we all know what we mean, so let's not get into semantics over it. So I call this time mastery. And again, what I'm going to share with you are really the tricks, tips, secrets, whatever you want to call them, that I've picked up for myself over the years and that I've used to train so many people to get really, really effective. If you are watching this webinar, obviously you feel overwhelmed, right? And that causes tons of stress. That is one of the biggest causes of stress in the workplace. So when you get control of your time, there's a lot of reasons why it will benefit you. And I need you to think about what's your compelling reason to get good at managing time, right? Because you need a compelling reason to want to do anything. So what is it? Is it so you can make more money and be more productive? That's a reason. Or is it because you hate that feeling of not being in control? That's a reason. Maybe it's because you just hate the stress associated with it, and you want to be able to get better at this so that you can remove this stress from your life. So that's really the key, and there's lots of tricks, tools, and tips. So what I'm going to share is a methodology and some psychology behind why mastering time is so difficult for so many people and what's really happening in your brain and behind the scenes. And don't worry, I never get too hokey with this stuff. Okay, so again, it's not about managing time, but what it's about is trying to get more done in less time. Okay, more in less time. So you take that this is a major issue, as I mentioned, for any company in corporate America. I don't care what your position is. Mastering time in your job is difficult. Add the staffing and recruiting industry to this. And what do we have? My goodness, I can't think of too many more businesses that are as difficult. We have a product that talks, right, our candidates. So we have candidates and clients that we constantly deal with. And the way that we're structured is many of you constantly deal with all of these different phases of the jobs all at the same time. Candidates, clients, getting a job order, interviewing a candidate, dealing with the paycheck. I mean, you name it. Calls coming in for follow-up, problems that we had, prepping for an interview, right? Job boards, you name it. So the phone is constantly ringing, the email is constantly buzzing, there's so much stuff going on, and because we're in all these different phases, it is so easy to get distracted from the most important elements that you want to get done in the course of a day, and that's the key. It's about learning and understanding what the distraction's all about, okay? Now, you add on to that if you are in the contingency search business, then wow, you now have to decide where is it worth spending my time. And that's when you see all the training on how to qualify a job order, how to rate a job order, when to walk away from a job order, right? Because you don't get paid until you produce. So you can't just have a busy desk that's full of things that aren't ultimately going to make your strategy work, make your business more successful, because you'll be running all over the place. The other thing, and this is a quote that I've seen in tons of places, but distraction itself and the fear of distraction is a great salvation. And really think about, what that means. A lot of people actually embrace it, and it's just a great excuse, right? So it's a great reason to not dive into what you need to do, and it's a great reason to feel, well, I'm just overwhelmed and we have all these things. Okay, but the bottom line is, in our business, it's a contact sport. You need to create contact. You need to make the outbound calls. You need to visit with the people. If you're in a local setting or you're in a national setting, you need to be on the phone constantly, outbound with your proactive strategy. Okay? So let's just think about that, and now let's move into some other key concepts here. Okay? One of the things that I have, and if you're interested, please email me at neil@thedynamicsale.com. All right, you see my website information on the bottom of the slides. I have a great full-length video. It's free, so I'm not peddling anything. I'm happy to share with you. It's a keynote I give in a lot of places, and it really talks about what I'm going to talk about now for a full hour, and it's really great. It will help you with time management. It'll help you with energy. But I want to give you what some of the key – oh, look at that nice little graphic. I want to give you some great overall tips if you don't get a chance to watch that video. You often hear that life is a marathon, right? You hear that all the time. And now forgive my graphic. I know we don't want to see a marathon runner. We're having a heart attack as a way to brighten up our day. But think about how depressing it is if life were really a marathon. Hey, a marathon to run 26.2 miles, at least there's an end to it. And most people don't end up on the ground like this guy. Life being a marathon means what? You just got to keep going, keep plugging, keep running forever. Until when? Until you die? That's what life as a marathon means. And I got news for you. It is the way that corporate America has set up our world. It's also the very bad habits that you have. What you really want to think about and what you want to focus about to really master time is to look at it not as a marathon, but as a sprint. Okay, it's a series of sprints. And what the video gets into at length is all about all of the psychological studies that have been done and all about the concept of energy. So when you look at the best way to make this happen, the best way to package what we're going to talk about today, it's about finding blocks of time, blocks of periods where you can sprint. Okay, the idea is that You can't manage time. It comes and it goes, but you can manage your energy. And energy isn't limitless. You can't just work 8, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year for 40 years, 44 years, whatever the number's going to be. Now it'll be 50, who knows? You can't, because you lose energy, you sap. The body isn't meant for that. So I'm not going to get into all the different types of energy and how hard it is to just think and focus, but here's the general gist. When you are on a high, when you're in a zone, you know that place where you have that great day at work. I want you to think about it. Everyone think about that period. You had a great 3 hours. You were in a great mood. Something good happened, okay? And you were just able to crank it out. The clock, you looked at the clock, my God, it's 7 o'clock at night already. I can't believe it. I don't want to leave, but I want to get back to my family, my kids, my TV show, my movie, my dog, my cat, whatever. What I want you to actually think about is how you can recreate that magic, that energy. And when you are in that zone, don't stop. Go nuts when you're in a zone. Go crazy. Then you're going to make up for it because you're going to be 100% productive, 100% productive during this time. And you'll make up for it by when you're not in the mood that you can do busy work. You can do these other distractions. You can do all these other things that you probably spend so much of your time doing now that makes you feel busy, but it doesn't really end up making you productive or getting you to your end. So again, the video will really explain that more, and I urge you to do it. Now, the way that I was first taught to utilize this, and I got to say, this was way back in the 80s. Now there's great books on it, and you're going to see A Power of Full Engagement, an author by the name of Lair. Really great stuff. But the concept is, if you were to look at how unproductive people are, you would be shocked. I normally ask a group of people in a live session, how productive do you think the American worker is? And, you'll get people say, I don't know. I mean, again, if 100% could be when you're a machine, you're on fire. Like, I guess when you're in that zone, right? You're just efficient and you're getting stuff done and you're hitting your end result, right? Well, the answer will shock you because most people will say, I don't know, is it 50, 60, 70, 75%? Everyone knows it's not 100. The answer is it's somewhere, depending on your study, between 20 and 25%. And I've seen studies as low as 15. Think about that. That means if you get better at mastering your time, better at these techniques, if the average person or if your average competitor, be it an internal staff person or be it one of your competitors down the road, if they're operating at the average of 20%, if you operate at 40, you're going to accomplish twice as much as what they accomplish, right? So that's the concept. Imagine if you got up to 60. So again, the game plan is work in these pockets where you can be 100% productive. It doesn't have to be long. That's why you hear lots of companies create power blocks, marketing time, whatever it is, A time, which is all the most important things they need to get done. And we're going to talk about in a little bit why that just doesn't happen enough. Okay, and I think you're going to be shocked if you're honest with yourselves of why that happens. So, pick a pocket of time, and this is what we'll get back to later to help you with. And for me, I learned this in college, and I was pledging a fraternity, and my parents said I had to continue with my A's, or they're not going to pay for my college. I had my first really serious long-term girlfriend, and I had a full course load. It was a nightmare, so the college offered this professor who was an expert in this area and how humans work and all this stuff. And this is way ahead of her time in terms of what the rest of the world was talking about, but it was really just meant to be a time management and college course. And this is basically what she said. You need to pick a period of time that you're going to commit to and be a machine. And you will find if you do this, you will have so much more time to party, play, go to the movies, hit the shows, whatever it is that you want to do in college. So the sell that she spent was, do this, and your friends are literally going to ask you, how do you pull it off? And I got to tell you, it's exactly what happened to me. I got straight A's in college, and people in my fraternity was like, I don't understand. You're always the first person to go to the party. And not to, I'm a lot older now, so don't worry about it. But, you seem to goof around. You always be able to have a fun time, yet you're getting, great grades. You're never pulling an all-nighter, and that's because I use this technique. And so when you apply it to the business world, it basically means just focus from, let's say, when you get in the office and you could do some busy work for a while, so you get in at 8, 8:30, 7:30, whatever it is. Allow yourself to do whatever the heck you want until, let's say, 9:30. And then from 9:30 to 11 or 9:30 to 11:30, you be committed every day that this is my power time. This is the time where I'm going to get to the important things that I almost never get to. And again, I'm going to really talk about those things in a little bit. What are they, and why don't you get to them? Okay? So this means focus in that period. You will be 100% productive during that hour and a half, and it will ensure that you always get to the things that end up getting put off that can't. Think about it. Marketing calls, special recruiting calls, you name it, right? Okay, so there's lots of other tricks we can get to that, but that's some of the concept, and again, you see a lot of that. You have way too many distractions, and here's the point where you're going to stop this distraction. You're not just going to pick up the phone when it rings during that period of time. You're going to ignore it. You're not going to look at your email. You've already done that when you first got in. From 9:30 to 11, boom, you're on a roll. Hey, if you're not a morning person, you're an afternoon person, then you could switch the times. When you get good at this, you'll learn that what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work with my ebbs and flows and my energy, and when I'm on a roll, when I'm really excited, when I'm pumped up, I'm going to make all my hard calls. And you know when those like. You know when you have a great marketing call, and then you have another one because it's great or something great happens with a candidate. Okay, so that's the concept of time. Now, you want to turn off the email buzzer and all those things because they're just distractions. Okay, some of you, if you're constantly looking at email, turn off even that mail icon that shows up on every email program, Outlook, Mac Mail, Eudora, whatever you're using. Because believe me, you'll go in and check when it's time to see if you have email. And I love email. But again, you want to avoid the distractions. So, getting it done. How do you get it done? Okay, and this is what I alluded to before for your compelling reason. You need 4 things. You always have to have the intent. Okay, what do you want to have happen? Well, I want to bring in X number of new clients. I want to hire X number of new people. I want to build up my LinkedIn connections to 3,000, whatever it is. So what do you want to have happen? So you need to have that. That goes into planning, and I'm sure most of you know what those things are. Okay? Then you have to have focus. Okay? So where are you looking? What are you paying attention to? Okay? And how much are you really thinking to make this happen? Then the key thing is intensity, and you'll see this everywhere. Intensity, it's that sprint. When you're going to get it done, you need to be intense, but you can't be intense and just lump all of these tasks into a non-ending sprint, which then becomes a marathon. And then, of course, the key to getting anything done is doing it. Execute it. Make it happen. Okay, so when I say remember your why factors, that's why are you going to be intense, okay? And what's the main reason behind it? Because I'm going to be more successful, because I'm going to beat my competition, because I'm going to make more money, because I'm going to have more free time, like in college, because I want to get out of here at 5 and be as successful as I've been working at 7, and I want to spend time with my friends and family, because I don't want to work anymore on weekends. Whatever those why factors are, that's going to help with the focus, and that's going to help with the intensity, and it's going to make sure that you get it done. Now, we'll have a break in a little bit, but what I want to talk to you about is the psychology and what goes on in your brain as it relates to all of these issues and all of these issues with tasks. Okay, so what I want to show you is a couple of things here, okay? First of all, you can see my arrow here, okay? If you see this line here, this is a line that is showing importance, the importance of a task. So let's just look at your front office system, your ATS, your Outlook, whatever method you use to write down everything you need to do. Now, I'm assuming that you write down everything you need to do, and I'm going to get into that later in to-do lists, do's and don'ts. So right now, yes, you're going to want to have everything you ever need to get done, from the simple and the absurd to the super important, written down. So every task that you have will have 2 major elements to them. One of them is how important it is, okay, this line here, and it starts from down here as relatively unimportant to more important, more important, more important to, oh my gosh, super important. You then have this line here, and this line represents what I call time pressing. If you've been to other time management courses, which I doubt if you're watching this, it's often called urgency. Understand, urgency and importance are not synonyms. Importance is how important is that to your overall strategy or goal, to accomplishing what it is that you want to accomplish. That's importance. Time pressing, which I think is better to understand it, that's really what urgency means. Urgency means it's time pressing. There's a time stamp on it, right? Urgent care. We need to deal with it now, okay? Hey, listen, you got to take this call. It's urgent. Deal with it now. It doesn't mean it's important. You could have something that's urgent, meaning you got to deal with it now. That's not that important. It's time pressing. So again, if urgency confuses you, call it time pressing. Time pressing, another way to look at that line, the y-axis if you would, is, you know, look, how much is this in your face, right? How much is it calling out to you to be done now? Okay? So, and I want you to feel free to ask questions now. Emily, if any come in during this section as I'm going through this, you can interrupt me because, again, we're a relatively small group and I like to do this. Okay. So let's look at a couple of areas here. Let's look at something that is high importance and high time pressing. If you guys can go into your chat, someone want to type in, what's high importance and high time pressing? Go into chat. They can see chat, right, Emily? If not, go into questions, but I prefer it in chat. Come on, guys, everyone start typing.
They sure can. So everyone start typing.
All right, guys, type in chat. I want everyone out there. Come on. What's in it really important and it's in your face? Come on. I know you're out there. I'll wait. I'll wait. Wow, you guys are chicken. I'll give you the answers, but you'll have more fun if you throw it out there. Okay. High importance and high time pressing. Well, something that's in your face and it's important, it's a client calling to give you a job order. It's a client that you've been trying to set up an appointment for. That's calling. Okay, it's a candidate that's calling up that you've been trying to recruit, right? It could be a client where there's a massive problem and someone was supposed to start a job and they didn't show up. It's really important because that's how we make our money. It's really important for the business that we get these solved. And it's also time pressing because it's in our face, right? We don't need to think about these things, right? You don't even have to ever task or write these down, do you? They come to you. Right? It's time pressing. So when it comes to time management, when you're in quadrant 2, you never need to worry about it because it comes to you. You don't have to plan it or think about it. You're always going to deal with important issues to your business when they are coming to you. Okay, so we can X that box out because that's not going to be an issue for you. Okay, the next thing that we're going to have are these things over here in quadrant 1. Those are things, and again, all these will run the spectrum in there. I mean, you can have a dot here, and you can have a dot here, and you can have a dot here, right? But overall, things in this quadrant are going to mean they're still in your face. Okay, they're still time pressing. They're coming to you, but on the scheme of things of what you need to do to be successful, they're really not that important. So low importance, high time pressing. I want you all to think, even though you're not going to type in the box, I want you all to think for a second. What fits in here? Take a second. Think about all the things that happen, okay, all the things that happen throughout your day that are in your face, that come to you, but you know what? You probably would have been better off doing something else, at least at that point. So if you think about these, it's anything. These are things when people distract you, when they interrupt you. And in fact, we're going to call that box the distraction interruption box, right? An interruption by definition is urgent. Someone's knocking on your door. Your phone is ringing. The email buzzer is going off. Because I'm going to reply to someone that says, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while, what's happening with the job, and you feel great because you're going to go ahead and respond to that email immediately and you're going to feel busy. Well, wouldn't you have been better off? Wasn't it more important to make a networking call, a recruiting call, maybe a call to a client to extend an assignment or to get an order, right? Maybe it was to get someone on LinkedIn and recruit them. Right, so I'm saying versus everything else, it's of less importance, but it's still in your face. These are the things that we're really going to need to focus on. I'm going to come back to that once I explain all the others. Okay, next, we come into this bottom right quadrant, the high importance. It's really important, but there's no buzzer going off. There's no phone ringing, right? There's no email thing glowing. You can get to these whenever, but they're really important. What sort of things, take a step back now, and don't worry, you're never going to have to do this with all your tasks. What I'm going to show you is you only have to focus really on one area, which turns out to be quadrant 3, but think about it. What things fall into this? Telemarketing calls, some of the things I just gave before. Following up on a job lead, getting a job lead. Recruiting, following up on that other recruiter that you want to bring into your company. These are really important to your business. These will be the core things that in a business your boss or you track. But there's no deadline associated with it, right? You can always put it off till later. It can always be put off till tomorrow. It can always be put off to the day after tomorrow, into next week. It can always be put off then to next month. And guess what happens? They almost always do, because you end up spending your time and the things that are coming to you. Now, quadrant 2, no-brainer. You always want to do it. Never worry about it. Never think about that ever again. Always do it. But here, no. I don't want you to be dealing with things just because there's a buzzer going off, just because your phone is ringing, just because someone's knocking on your door, just because it's coming to you, when you should be doing these things, which are more important. They are more important, but they're not coming to you. This is why good managers create deadlines, because it will create a certain urgency at a certain point. And it could be the day before something's due, and maybe that's how people work. But you will create your own buzzers using your ATS system, right? Your front office system, using Outlook, using Mac iCal, whatever, right? You'll create those buzzers saying it's marketing time. So you should treat that as serious as you do any other interruption. But that's your memory. And that's, again, you're going to work in blocks. Even if you say, I'm only going to do that 1 hour each day, I'm going to start. I'm going to commit to 1 hour, my best hour in the day, not during lunch, so time we can reach people. And I'm going to make sure I get to all of those things. We'll call this the tasks at hand, the real keys to the business, the real keys to succeeding, the real keys to productivity, all lie in section 3. Of course, section 2 as well, but again, I want to X that one out because they all come to you. These are the money calls. This is the strategic stuff. This is all those great ideas that you or your boss comes back with that you need to implement. Those are these things. So I'm going to come back to that. Finally, we have our 4th quadrant, bottom left. These are things that are low importance. They're just not that important to not at all, to only slightly important at best. And they're not urgent, meaning they're not time pressing. There's no buzzer going off. There's no knocks on the door. There's no phone ringing. Think of the things that fit into this box. There's a word for this box. Anyone got it? I don't want to type it in. You know, it's a very popular term for this type of task. I'll give you a hint. For this type of quote-unquote work. Anyone? Bueller? I know someone's thinking it. Busy work. This is busy work. Okay? I'm not saying that there isn't some busy work that has to get done. But guess what? All of the busy work in here, the low importance, low time pressing, you blow it off until it becomes this. Still low importance, but it's high time pressing. Until that becomes a deadline when you need to deal with it, okay, which is how I do it, but I don't procrastinate. I know that it will become important then and I'll absolutely get to it. If you're not like that and you view that as procrastination, then this is the stuff that you do when you get in the office in the morning. I love doing my low important stuff that has to get done first thing. I like warming up. I like having my coffee. I like checking out all the emails. I like replying to some jokes on Facebook. I like organizing and just seeing what's out there, filing some things in my folder. I like looking at any invoices or whatever, little things that need to go out. But again, some of the invoices too, I'll just keep tasking it until it becomes the right time when I need to do it. So you'll get these things done. But if they never become time pressing, then you know what? There's only so many hours in the day. There's only so much that you could pull off anyway. If you have to blow something off, which you all do, there's already, everyone has too many tasks on their plate in their systems anyway. These should always be blown off in lieu of these, right? I mean, again, I'm not saying, well, and I always go, Neil, well, there's some things there that still need to get done. Sure, they never need to get done as important as these. Well, what happens then if I'm going to get a penalty from the IRS? For not, good, then that becomes time pressing on April 13th. Okay, but anything that never ever, by definition, will become time pressing that can always be blown off, you should blow it off because I want you to focus on these in quadrant 3, the task at hand. So, do we have any questions yet, Emily? Anything on this before I continue to explain it? I normally do on the live stuff, so I'd love to address it. Do we have any questions? I'll open up the question box. I don't see any yet. Nothing?
Yeah, we don't have any questions
Don't be shy, people.
Exactly. You can type them into the questions box or the chat box, or you can ask them to Neil directly. And at this time, we don't have any. But just continue.
Okay. Okay. So again, you're going to see a break soon, but we can continue and move on from the break. So I want to recap here, and again, I need you to think about this. Don't worry, I'm not the type of trainer that's going to say, now I want you to go back, I want you to look at all your tasks, and I want you to constantly code them. Box 1, I hate that crap because people don't end up doing it. I want you to realize again, these, no-brainer. It's a no-brainer box, right? Done. These are distractions. These are interruptions. These down here, I already told you, busy work. The distractions and the busy work should always be replaced by these important elements. And a way to do it, again, is with these blocks of time, where you just make sure that that gets done. Because your day is so full that if you're honest with yourself, you spend all of your time in boxes 1, 2, and 4. And every once in a while, you get to box 3. And there's a big irony, isn't it? That's the issue with time management. Okay? So that, now that you have that, and hopefully you get that, I, again, want you to just realize the busy work stuff you can get to, the distractions. I'm going to teach you how to deal with box 1, how to deal with these distractions, because that's a really important thing to do. Box 2, no-brainer, and box 3 you're going to do in call blocks. And, you, again, set your own alarms using iCal, Outlook, whatever the case is. So, in order to do this, to avoid distractions, you need to learn how to say no. How to say no. And you know what? It's not that easy. And for some of you, it's very difficult. The first thing to start, which sounds like I'm being cute, but I'm not, is get out of the habit of automatically saying yes. Well, what do I mean by that? Try calling me one time or another time, and my phone will ring. And again, I'll pick it up if it looks like it's a client, whatever, because I don't know whether it's a distraction right now or whether it's an important high-pressing issue, right? I know it's pressing because the phone's coming in. Now, I'll tell you what, when I'm in my zone or my block, it goes to voicemail. Neil, what if it's an important client? Oh, yeah, they're not used to voicemail. And I'll listen to it in an hour, right? I mean, everyone understands people are on a call or in a meeting. I'll make sure I get back to it, but I don't interrupt my blocks. That's important that you get. But let's say I'm not in a block, and I'm still trying to get a ton of stuff done, and my phone rings from one of my staff, from whomever, and they say, what do people normally say? Hey, Neil, got a second? Hey, Neil, you busy? What do you think my answers are to that most of the time? Hey, Neil, are you busy? My answer is yes, I am busy. I don't say no, what's going on? hey, Neil, you have a second? And most of you will say, yeah, what's up? I don't, because I know that these will add up and there will be major distractions. Now, I'll get into how you avoid, people getting pissed off at you and all those sorts of things, but I'm not going to automatically say yes. I will deal with them when it's time to get to it, and I always try to gauge the urgency. If it's one of my staff, no, I don't have the time now, or if they email and I'm doing it, no, I don't have the time to talk right now. What's up? How urgent is it? Can it wait till 2 days from now? Can it wait till Friday? And by the way, I keep Monday and Friday for me to get it to not for the big blocks, but Friday I'm normally in a great mood, so I will have like a good couple-hour block where I go nuts, but the rest of the day I keep open and I deal with whatever. Again, you all develop your own style that works with your MO. But don't just say yes. Someone knocks on your door. Hey, boss, you got a minute? Yeah, what's up? Yeah, come on in. That's nuts. How on earth can you be free every time available? I mean, you've got to be working on some of the important things, or again, know that these are distractions. Again, you'll get to them. If it's an employee issue, whatever. I know we're talking to different audiences out there. You'll deal with it. Buy yourself some time, just like I gave you. Hey, can we meet later on in the day? If you are a manager of people, set up a time. Absolutely, we'll meet every day. I want you to know my time is until noon. Don't even bother me unless it's a crisis. After that, I'll start taking the interruptions. And even when they come in, hey, what do you say? We'll get them. Deal with all the interruptions in one time. Okay? If your answer is going to be no, just say no. It's another problem a lot of people have. Well, you might want to put it off. You say this, then they keep coming back to you. They can't keep interrupting. Let them say no. And believe it or not, you don't need to give a reason. And what I mean by that is, oh, my clients aren't going to accept that. Sure they will. You just feel that you need to explain every time of why you can't take their call. If you want to, go ahead. It's just going to take more time. I'm saying they'll fully understand. No, listen, I can't talk right now. Your call is super important. What's it based on? All right, listen, we're going to resolve that. Can we set up a call? Can I call you at 3 o'clock? You think they're going to get upset at that? No, what do you mean? Why? What do you mean you can't deal with this right now? You have other clients? You're doing other things? And again, it depends on the level. It could be coworkers. I mean, think about all the distractions that you get from your coworkers. It's unbelievable. Okay, so again, you got to get good at saying no. So again, not now. Are you busy? Yes. Please just get in the habit of saying that. There is that old expression that the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and you know what? They do. And again, in this case, the squeaky wheel, employee, coworker, candidate. In our case, oil is a trade-off, if you will. It's an opportunity cost of you not doing things that are going to make you more money and make you much more productive and successful in what you do. Of course, the squeaky wheel should not get the oil. The people that should get the oil should get the oil. Your new business development, your clients, your new candidates, whatever, your best employees, whatever. It's also why managers end up spending most time on the people who interrupt them the most. Could be the weakest employee, the most difficult employee. So here is one of the things I want you to do, because it's going to be a revelation for you. And I want you to create a time log. A time log. Okay, so I'm going to get into the time log. This is technically where we have, I just want to see any more questions. I'm going to just wait. If you guys have them, interrupt me, and I'll see them in there, okay? And Emily can cut me off. So let's talk about the time log. And I want you to think about how it works and why I'm having you do it. You may take my word for it that I say the average person is 25% productive. You might take my word for it when I tell you that you spend a very disproportionate amount of time in the distractions and in the high time pressing and low important area. You might take my word for it that you spend more time on busy work than you care to admit. But when you see for yourself, for your own desk, for your own business, where you spend your time, it will forever give you the compelling reason to fix it. So I'm not going to follow up on this. I'm not going to ask you to submit them. Those of you who are managers, I want you to go ahead, buy the recording from the ASA, or maybe you're allowed to watch it if you buy it. I don't know how that works. I want you to then take your PowerPoints from this and have your own staff meeting, and I want you to do this for your people as well, and I want you to collect it. Every person I ever mentored or managed directly, I would go through this with them, and I would have them report it